We start with breaking news on Donald Trump's name reportedly appearing in the Epstein Files. Today, explosive new reporting rocking the political world. According to the Wall Street Journal, the Justice Department told Trump in May that his name is in the Epstein Files. It comes as Trump, who previously helped stoke Epstein conspiracy theories, suddenly tries to tamp down questions about that guy. The Journal reports, quote, when Justice Department officials reviewed what Attorney General Pam Bondi called a truckload of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein earlier this year, they discovered that Donald Trump's name appeared multiple times, according to senior administration officials. In May, Bondi and her deputy informed the president at a meeting in the White House that his name was in the Epstein Files, the officials said. Many other high-profile figures were also named, Trump was told. Being mentioned in the files, in the records, isn't a sign of wrongdoing. It's new context for Bondi's claims about potentially revealing documents, including the ever-elusive client list. Here's what she said in February and March, weeks before reportedly informing Trump his name was in the files.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now. A lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information, but it's pretty sick what that man did.
We will get everything. We will have it in our possession. America get the full Epstein files.
That's what Bondi was saying before the DOJ released a memo in July that poured cold water all over talk of a client list and theories about Epstein's death. That memo caused an uproar and led to Trump getting hammered with questions, including a direct question about what Bondi told him.
The Attorney General briefed you on the DOJ and FBI review, the findings of that review. The Attorney General briefed you on that.
What?
On the DOJ and FBI review.
On what subject?
Epstein. Okay. On Epstein, of the review of the files. Attorney General Pam Bondi briefed you on that.
Very quick briefing.
Did she tell you, what did she tell you about the review? And specifically, did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the files?
No, she's given us just a very quick briefing.
The Journal reports the DOJ told Trump in May, quote, it didn't plan to release any more documents related to Epstein because other material contained child pornography and victims' personal information. Trump reportedly didn't object. Now the White House is calling the Journal's report, quote, another fake news story. The Journal also reporting, quote, FBI Director Kash Patel has privately told other government officials that Trump's name appeared in the files, according to people close to the administration. It builds on the Journal's recent reporting about that strange and, quote, bawdy birthday message Trump allegedly wrote to Epstein. Trump is, of course, suing over that reporting. It bears repeating. The big news tonight, the President of the United States' name reportedly appearing multiple times in documents related to convicted child predator Jeffrey Epstein. So ahead this hour, I'll talk live with Reverend Al Sharpton and Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen. But we are going to start with Emily Bazelon, legal writer with the New York Times Magazine, and Catherine Christian, NBC News and MSNBC legal analyst and former assistant district attorney with the Manhattan DA's office. Thank you both for being here with me this evening. So we understand that his name being in these files does not necessarily mean that a crime has been committed here. And I think for some, this may not even be surprising because we've known that he's in flight logs. We know that Epstein reportedly had multiple phone numbers for Donald Trump and for other members of the family. But what's sort of striking to me is that he was just asked a week ago by a reporter, did Bondi tell you this? What did you know? And it appears he may have lied. Catherine, how significant is all of this to you?
He lied or he forgot. It's significant. Well, first, again, just because your name appears in a file, that does not mean you've committed a criminal activity. But we would need to know the context. I'm sure there were search warrants executed during this investigation. So did they get the flight logs, guest list? Did his name appear in a guest list? Is his name on other birthday cards? The Wall Street Journal said he was given a birthday. He left a birthday message for Mr. Epstein. So it'll be interesting to see how his name appears multiple times, on what documents. do they appear. And many of those documents may not have been grand jury secret documents that were been obtained to subpoena. It could have been a witness interview, which certainly is not going to be confidential unless there were like a victim's name there. So it'd be interesting to know how President Trump's name is in these files.
Emily, what questions has all this raised for you? And the timeline here? I mean, this is sort of a problem of their own creation. They're the ones that released a memo saying nothing to see here, folks, only weeks ago. So how shocked are you by this latest development, this new reporting from the Wall Street Journal?
Well, I agree with Catherine. It's not that surprising in the sense that we know that Epstein and Trump were friends. They spent time together, including, it seems, in the period of time that the indictment covers. Another question I have is whether the fact that Trump's name is in these documents, and we don't know how or the context, relates to the Justice Department's decision not to release more of these files. Was that something that was on Pam Bondi's mind? Was she trying to protect the president in making that decision? And that seems like an especially important question to ask because Trump has, in so many ways, blasted on by the usual protections of the independence of the Justice Department from the president, right? He doesn't believe in that kind of independence. He is making it clear he's the one calling the shots. And so you want to know how all of that adds up.
Did he direct her not to disclose any further information?
We know that Senator Dick Durbin already authored a letter alleging that basically a whistleblower had informed his office that she had directed people to spend time around the clock looking specifically for Trump's name in the files that she had access to. And then, you know, just in this one section of the Wall Street Journal's reporting, the meeting set the stage for the high-profile review to come to an end. So in a way, at least the timeline, it raises all those suspicions you just spelled out there, Emily. I'm curious for you, Catherine. We now know, too, that Ghislaine Maxwell's been subpoenaed officially. There's sort of efforts to hear more from her now on several fronts. What do you think we could realistically learn from her? She did not seek a plea deal first time around. Would she have new information now?
We would expect her to say nothing unless she were granted full immunity by Congress, which apparently
a lot of people think that's what she's going for.
They're not going to do. And if I'm a lawyer of a defendant in her situation, I'd say, unless you're getting immunity, you keep your mouth shut. Because remember, she has an appeal pending. So she's not going to do anything to harm that appeal. When Epstein was alive, the Southern District could have used her as a cooperator, could have perhaps had her flip against him, and then promised her a lower sentence. Once he died, there was nothing that she could give them. So she was an equal co-defendant, and she was tried. But I don't see her speaking unless she got full immunity. And why would you give full immunity to someone who's been convicted of such horrible crimes, trafficking, child sex abuse, for sex abuse purposes? Why would you pardon someone who was convicted of such horrible crimes?
Emily, how do you think Trump's base is going to process this? They kind of rejected the Wall Street Journal's report around this birthday letter. We saw almost within like 2-3 minutes, people starting to tweet and respond saying, this doesn't sound like Trump. I don't think he ever draws pictures, that kind of thing. What do you know of how they are going to process this latest information? And do you think that this could really create an actual break, a crack in his loyal following? You're already kind of laughing right now.
No, I mean, I'm not laughing. The approval ratings among Republicans of Trump's handling of the Epstein files have already dropped. So I think we are already seeing some impact from this. I wonder if one difference between this news piece of information and the drawing is that the drawing nobody has seen. The Wall Street Journal described it, but it isn't in our heads as an image that is in public view. Maybe that made it easier to dismiss. This reporting, which other news organizations are already matching, is coming from inside the Trump administration, saying that he didn't disclose that he'd been told these facts. And it raises these questions about that you were just asking, who directed this, who controlled it. Those questions about direction and control are so much a part of the kind of larger conspiracy theorizing around the Epstein case. It all kind of feeds on itself, one might think. And there is terrible wrongdoing at the heart of this criminal matter.
Catherine, could some of what it appears this administration knew and did not publicly share impact Trump's lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal for that first report?
Well, it will certainly help the Wall Street Journal, and in their defense, the fact that the Wall Street Journal has once again issued an article that would surely upset the president shows that they are going to defend that lawsuit to the hilt. Rupert Murdoch is not going to fold like other media companies or certain law firms have folded. So it's like a drumbeat. Again, just because your name is in a file, that doesn't mean you did anything criminal. But it's interesting that suddenly, and they only asked the DOJ for the grand jury transcripts. Donald Trump's name is not going to be in that grand jury transcript. But we now know, if it's true, that his name is sprinkled throughout the files.
Speaking of grand jury transcripts, we also heard from a judge in Florida today that their hands are tied from unsealing Epstein-related information from grand juries convened in 2005 and 2007. Do you think the administration tried to set judges up to be kind of the fall guy here?
Yes, you know,
Okay.
I will admit that often as a lawyer, you like, well, let the courts decide. Oh, sorry, there's nothing I can do about it. The judge said no. So the law is the law, and that's what this judge said. The federal rules of criminal procedure are clear that grand jury testimony transcripts are secret, and there is no public interest exception, and the judge made that clear here.